Hey guys, today we're going to be doing a watch me work tutorial. I am going to be working on my right hand with my non-dominant hand. I'm using Nut and Neighborhood 60s from the Glam Trap House along with some loose glitter clear from the Glam Trap House and my Valentino brush. So I've already got my hand prepped and got my tips on. Now I'm going to be using my e-file to go ahead and smooth out the ridge between my nail bed and the tip. So a couple of quick tips when you're working with your non-dominant hand that help me because I'm very bad with my left hand. What works for me is to take my wrist on my left hand and lay it down on the table and bring my right hand to whatever tool that I'm using and move my right hand as much as possible. Since I'm so bad with my left, if I limit the amount I actually need to use it, it works out better for me. Basically, I'm just using my left to hold the tools usually. So we're going to go ahead and get these filed a little bit more because they weren't in great shape, and then we'll go ahead and move on to laying the acrylic. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and start laying our base of clear acrylic. You always want to lay your clear acrylic down when you're using colored. Colored acrylic is weaker than clear because the pigment dilutes it and takes away some of the strength and structure. So you want to make sure you're always laying down a very thin layer of clear. It doesn't have to be a ton, just enough to protect your nail bed. Also, colored acrylic can stain your nail bed, so you want to make sure at least that part's covered. So, same thing here basically. I'm picking up my beads with my right hand and transferring the brush to my left, which you need to be careful if you're going to do, but that works for me. That way I can pick up an accurate bead. So I pick it up with my right hand, transfer it to my left, and then same as with the drill, I kind of rest my wrist on my table and bring my right hand to the brush. That way I'm only moving the fingers on my left hand, which kind of limits the damage I can do with it. So also I like to use a smaller brush and smaller beads when I'm doing this. I have a lot of trouble controlling the larger beads with my left hand, so it's easier for me this way and it gives me a little more time to work. Now these nails are shorter, so when I go to lay my colored acrylic, I don't need as much of an apex. So like I said, this layer does not need to be very thick at all, but I'm making it even thinner so that I don't add too much bulk because these nails are so short and they don't need it. Okay, now we're going to lay down our colored acrylic. Same thing, picking my bead up with my right hand. So I am using Neighborhood 60s and Nut from the Glam Trap House. These are both glow colors, and Neighborhood 60s is one of my all-time favorites. It's kind of a sheer milky blue. Sorry, my hands are kind of all over the place. Like I said, you kind of got to find what works when you're working on yourself. So I'm laying my colored acrylic down, and then I'm going to put that loose glitter on top of it because on the thumb I was just doing one solid color. So I just want to lay that glitter down so that it can dry with the acrylic, so when I go to encapsulate it doesn't shift around too much. So we're going to go ahead and lay that down, and then for the rest of the nails I'm doing, it's kind of a weird pattern, kind of the same thing I have on my right hand, just in different colors and with different stones. So I'm going to be doing a blue to white ombre on my index, white to blue on my middle, and then a blue nail and a white nail. And I'm going to kind of sprinkle this loose glitter all throughout just for some sparkle. And like I said, these both glow in the dark, so the glow's my absolute favorite. Like, it's so addictive. I love it. Also, this glitter is it's kind of a clear white. I also got that from the Glam Trap House. I use it in almost everything. Every time glitter is required, this is my go-to because it's really sheer, so it really takes on the color of whatever acrylic you're working with and really just magnifies it. So yeah, one of my favorites. And you want to make sure that you're checking against your other hand, you know, to make sure your size and shape is staying consistent, because it can be easy to kind of get lost in working on that other hand. Now, these are the shortest I've probably ever done on myself, and normally I'm not a big fan of stiletto, but I did this shape on a client, and my nail beds are pretty damaged right now. I had some extra long nails on before, and it bruised my nail beds up and kind of cracked a little bit, so I kind of wanted to give them a break, but they were a little too beat up to leave naked, so figured I'd go with something short and well, plain for me, but something short just to give them some protection, but still, you know, not look like gravedigger nails. So now I've done this white to blue ombre here with, like I said, I laid the blue down and then put the glitter on top of that and then pulled the white over top of both, just because I don't want solid glitter over the whole nail, and I like the way it looks when you put it underneath an ombre where it kind of peeks out through the color. I'm a big fan, but I feel like if I just stuck it on half of it, it would be really obvious. So I kind of like the blend, and then it peeks through when it's glowing too. And I just really enjoy these colors together. I think I've used Neighborhood 60s in like my last couple sets, and I hoard it. I won't use it on anybody else because I don't want to waste it.
Empty hearts and neon lights.
Okay, so I've got my colored acrylic all laid down. Because I did ombre here, I'm really not going to do much filing on the top because you don't want to file away that blend. So what I'm doing here is basically going around the edges because when you're doing a shape like this, it can get a little bulky and round. So I like to take my e-file and go right near the cuticle to give it that nice curve away from the cuticle where your apex would be, and then to take some of the bulk off the sides so they don't look like beans, I guess. And then just give it a good once over everywhere else to make sure there aren't any bumps or lumps or whatever. And then I'm going to take my hand file and just clean up my edges. I know normally this is after you cap it, but like I said, I'm working with my left hand and my application isn't the greatest with my left, so I want to make sure that I have a nice smooth color underneath. That way when I go to cap it, it's not like gross underneath, basically. So I just want to give it a nice once over before I put that clear on there so that it looks even underneath. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and lay down my clear. So what I like to do, I usually work with wetter beads when I'm capping just because it's easier for me to spread it out, especially when I'm working on my own hands because I have a little trouble controlling the drier beads and keeping them smooth and even. So I try my best to keep my fingers pointed down, which is hard when you're working on yourself. And I use a wetter bead and just kind of let it travel down the nail a little bit. And like I said, these are shorter, so if you're doing shorter on yourself, you really don't need that much to cap with because you don't need that strength that you would normally need. You don't need the support for a longer nail. So really just a thin layer just to kind of strengthen the top and keep it from breaking is all you need. You don't need to build up an apex, anything like that. It should have a good natural apex on its own. Okay, now we're all set with the clear. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a good once over with my e-file, same as I did before, just to make sure there are no lumps and bumps and take away any bulky spots that I might have. Again, laying my wrist down and bringing my hand to it. I'm getting a little more comfortable at this point, so you can see me moving my left hand a little more. And as you get into it and get more comfortable, you will too. So, do what works for you, but a great way to start is to rest that wrist. Now I'm going to take my hand file, clean up my edges, because obviously left hand, it's going to be a little messy at the ends and I want to make sure I keep that sharp shape. So I'm going to take my 8080 grit Pana Jumbo Zebra file and clean it up because these are the absolute best files for shaping ever, hands down, across the world, whatever. Like, that's what I use to shape because they are amazing. So we're going to go ahead and clean up with our hand file. Then I'm going to go ahead and buff these up really good. Then I'm going to wipe them with a lint-free wipe and some acetone to get rid of any grooves or any marks left behind by the file or the buffer or anything else. Just a quick rub down with acetone, like a firm rub, will get rid of all that so that you don't have any lines or anything underneath your top coat, and it cleans away any dust before you go to top coat it, so it doesn't get all grainy and gross. Now I am going to add my gems before I add my top coat. Helps, like it's easier to stick them and then work my top coat around it. So on this hand, I'm not using stones the way I did on my left. I'm going to use, I have some blue and white little pearls. Oh, you got a shot of my head there. Ignore my giant forehead. So I'm using my Beetle's gem glue, and I just laid down everywhere where I wanted to put the gems. You see me using my flashlight here because I wanted to lay my gems down and not have them slide a lot on the way to the lamp, because that tends to be a problem of mine. So I don't cure them all the way. I just add the gems that I want, give it a couple seconds with the flashlight, and then go ahead and do the rest. And then at the end, I put my whole hand in the lamp for the full minute or 2 minutes or whatever. So I put my gem glue down, lay my pearls down, flash cure it. Here I'm just doing a border effect, and then I did on my thumb a much bigger section. The same kind of corner section, but a little bigger on my thumb, which you'll see at the end. And then after I'm done, I'm going to cure it all in the lamp for, I think, a full minute for my lamp, and then we'll take a look at the finished product. And this is my Mark Art No Wipe top coat. Absolute favorite. It doesn't have that sticky layer. It stays so shiny for so long, like doesn't chip at all, doesn't fade. The only problem with it is, like, it smells it smells really weird when it's wet, like before you cure it. It has a really weird, like, sulfur rotten egg smell. It goes away as soon as you cure it, but I've noticed it, and like I've never seen anybody else talk about it. Like, I don't know if other people are experiencing this, but I've went through like 5 bottles of it and they all have that smell. So I don't know if it's just me. Oh, also, don't forget, big giveaway coming up. We're almost there. I think we're like 10, 12 people away. So as soon as we get there, I'll be announcing the winners. So don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Remember, we're going to have 3 winners. This is the finished product. Actually really happy with how it turned out. First try for me. Usually, like, when I work on my right hand, I have to go through a few tries. So really proud of this. So thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.